beat, off the 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 beat. Real authentic conversations. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Offbeat Podcast. We're so excited to bring you another episode today, and I'm your host, Jorge Ambriz, and I'm here with
Aaron Ortega. What's going on, guys?
Man, and today we have a special episode because we all know what's coming up soon.
Yep,
dun,
holidays.
Dun, dun, dun. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Yeah, so the holidays, man. So the holidays are coming up, but today we have a special episode because today we're going to talk about the holidays, but we're also going to talk about the stresses.
The stress of holidays. The
stress.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's so interesting because, like, what's so good about holidays is tradition. There's the tradition, and obviously there's religion that goes into that, right?
Right.
But
right.
like, what is the one tradition that you like?
So I think one of my top favorite traditions that, as a kid growing up, I used to love, and I talked about that in my story, where going to Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to love going during the holidays, and I remember we would go from around the beginning of December, and then we would be there pretty much throughout the whole holiday season. But now I think probably one of my top favorite things to do during the holidays is watch Christmas movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, what's your favorite movie?
I gotta say, man, my top favorite, all the Home Alone movies. Well, no. The Macaulay Culkin Home Alone movies.
Yeah, okay, 100%.
Yeah. The Macaulay Culkin Home Alone movies and Elf.
Elf is probably going to be mine. I always say Home Alone 1 and 2 and then Elf. But yeah, for sure. Actually, you know what? When it comes to tradition, what's the one food do you think about during like Christmas time?
Pozole.
Okay, mine is tamales.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I love tamales, bro. I can eat that. Like, it's so good.
Shout out to all the tamaleros and tamaleras.
Woo, let's go.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what, man? I've been struggling to find some good tamales, bro.
I have a person for you.
Okay.
I'll hook you up.
Yeah, we got to connect,
I'm doing a shout out right here with Mole Man Marisco because this guy can throw down. He's local in Colton.
Yeah. So, dude, I love his.
Yeah, this stuff is ceviche and mariscos, bro. That guy would be good in like Thanksgiving time.
Heck
sure.
yeah. Shout out to Mole Man Mariscos. Yeah, that would be a perfect appetizer.
Oh, 100%.
Especially here in Southern Cali.
And everything, bro. It's so good.
Especially Southern Cali, man, because even during Christmas, like, it could be cold, it could be hot.
Yeah, 100%. For sure.
So,
but then with the holidays, okay, so as you mentioned earlier, there comes stress. What do you think is like the biggest stress in your personal opinion?
I think one of the biggest personal stresses...
And let me clarify that, too, that there's not the one biggest, but like many components of stresses.
I think it's finding the perfect gift.
That's a lot of stress, bro. That's a lot of anxiety sometimes.
That could be stressful. That could be so stressful. And what it can do is that it can add unnecessary strain to your personal life and to your finances.
100%. And it's like, have you ever had that moment where there's like, anybody that's hard to buy a gift for?
Oh, man.
I mean, don't say their name.
All right, I'm not going to say it, but man, yeah, it can be difficult, man. And, and I think that that's one of the things that we've, and I know that we've even talked about it, where it can become, the holidays can become all about the material stuff.
There's just like this heavy approach about materialism and objects, and it really becomes like a time of receiving, which is good. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I want to receive a good gift, but I don't think that's what the holidays are about.
Right. And I think that the more we approach it in that way, I think that's the more we stress about the holidays, and because it becomes something it almost becomes like a competition.
Oh, 100%. Like, especially like amongst like siblings or something.
Right.
Like, what did you get, Mom? What did you get, Mom?
Yeah.
And like, that's all you got? That's all you got? And you're like, dang, that's all I can afford,
Yeah, so our love becomes translated like, well, the bigger the gift, the bigger our love.
Or the more gifts you give.
The more gifts, the more they love.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's a big, and of course, that's a big American thing. I think that's a huge American thing. And it's not to bash the culture or anything, but I think that when we're talking about, because today's episode is really, we really want to hit the nail on the head is about, you know, things that we can do to try to avoid these holiday stresses.
Yeah, like de-stress it now.
Yeah, finding ways to de-stress those things and having an open, real, authentic conversation about what really goes on in the holidays and how to avoid certain things and being okay with certain things and talking, you know, in the sense of you know, the perfect gift. You know, I think that what are some of the things that you feel that, or you would say, you know what, gifts are cool, gifts are important, but more importantly,
family, friends, loved ones. But that becomes a problem as well.
That can.
Because that's where a lot of the trouble comes from, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of time where if you're hosting at your house, you know, that gets really like tiring, you know, like you got to have this, you got to have all the standards, and, you know, then when we all come together, it gets a little tricky because people make comments from within your family, right?
Yeah, it can become a performance.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about this probably a bit ago, and you were saying like how sometimes we could be insensitive in what we say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and like there's comments
at
like
family gatherings.
At the family gatherings.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. Let's go there. Let's go there.
They're like, well, comments like, "Where's the baby?
Yeah.
When is the baby coming?"
For newlyweds.
Yeah, you know,
newlyweds.
Or you know, and it's just kind of like there's just little comments like that. You're just kind of like you don't really want to go or not aware of it, you know?
Yeah, like even let's kind of touch on that, and I think that that's a big thing that we really want to encourage people to be sensitive, because like we said, sometimes we know the chisme, we know the gossip, we know what's going on within our family members. Like, let's be real, like family talks amongst family, you know what I mean? And a lot of times, you know, people are already stressing about going to family gatherings in itself.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, I can remember that was one of my biggest things, man, is that I really would try to find ways to kind of avoid family gatherings.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was for a long time. I mean, I really would just I would justify myself and say, man, you know what? I'm better off just kind of being chilling and relaxing at home and being okay, because I would want to avoid certain conversations.
Okay.
And, you know, and you brought up an interesting conversation, and this isn't from my personal experience, but this is from, you know what I mean, like things that you hear is that, you know, I think we have to be sensitive to, especially to newlyweds, but also to family that, you know, when it comes to, hey, when are you going to have the kid?
Or how about like when somebody loses their job and like, you lost your job again?
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's just like, man, and it's like, there's these comments that, and I think sometimes we talk like that because we're family.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, we're here to spend time together. It's not an award ceremony.
Right.
And it can feel like 100%. That. You know, I feel like there's a lot of people that can relate to that. Like, family gatherings can begin to feel like an award ceremony. Like, oh, you know,
I achieved promotion. This. I accomplished that, you know, or I got a promotion. And it's like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, those things are great, but I think approaching family is really a lot about your mindset and your attitude.
Yeah.
And I think it's all a matter about being pleasant.
Right.
You know, like I enjoy my family. I love being with my family. And we get together and I think what it really comes down to is making that moment count. And like
being present.
Yeah, being present, having fun, I come from a family that trash talk. When we play like dominoes or you know, we're playing card games and like we're all about winning, you know, like get it, but it never gets to the point where it's like, hey,
where I'm going to put you down.
Yeah, it's not like that.
Yeah, because I'm going to make, you know, and that's, I think that's a big thing within family sometimes, is that there's always a competitive of who's better. You know, there's always like, how can I outcompete you? And not just outcompete you, but, you know, how can I humiliate you? How can I show you? You know what I mean? And you know, and that's the, and this goes for, you know what I mean, for a lot of people that, you know, if maybe if that is your mindset, man, you know what, like, we want to just kind of encourage you to analyze yourself, because you never know who is coming to the table, and we never know with what they are coming to the table. You know, a lot of times we only think about what they're going to bring, but we never really think about what are they going through? What is my nephew going through? What is my niece going through? What is, you know, they just got married. What are they going through? You know, are they able to have kids?
Yeah, and then like, this is so interesting you bring that up, because I think too, we need to be considerate too. Not everybody has family.
Exactly.
You know, like there's also this is like probably low key or really heavy depression, where people are struggling because they are alone.
Right.
You know, or like there's a sense of like, we've been living all year, right? Yeah. And we're coming to the end of this year, and there's a lot of people come and they start reflecting, or some people just avoid not looking at how this year went. Like, well, I don't, you know, I want to get on a diet, you know, or I want to do this, and it's like, you know, there's so many, everybody has so much challenges that they're walking through. Yeah. And I think too, with, I'm going to say like what you were saying about like, just having a perspective, how are you doing? How is life? You know, and I think the opportunity here is really building someone up and saying, I'm proud of you, and celebrating each other.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like one of the approaches that I try to take, you know, when it comes to family gatherings is I really try to not make it about me. Okay. You know, like I really go in, and it comes even family gatherings in general, whether it be a birthday party, but when it comes to holidays, I really try to avoid conversations about salary. I try to avoid conversations about jobs. I don't
talk about politics.
Yeah, politics. I try to leave politics out. And even, you know what? And I'm a strong believer, but I even leave religion out.
Oh, yeah.
I leave it out. And the reason why I personally leave those things out is because those things I feel like they tend to be triggers for arguments, disagreements. You know, I'd rather just show a loving lifestyle, you know, a serving lifestyle. I'd rather just show a lifestyle that's present in that moment. You know what? Like I'm here because I haven't seen you guys in a while. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we haven't seen each other for a good minute. And man, it's good to see you guys. It's good. Let's break bread together. Let's have fun together. Let's clown on each other. But let's leave. Those are things that I personally try to leave out.
Yeah, that's good. That's so interesting. Like, that's a great list. Like, maybe like a side note, like a mental note. Like, well, I'm not going to talk about this. That's kind of like a good boundary. But then, like, maybe a good conversation is sports, yeah. You know, I mean, you know, there's somebody been playing on Thanksgiving, right? And then you play, you know, traveling. Yeah. You know, what's the next restaurant that's popping up? Yeah. You know, food is always a good conversation to talk about.
Food, I love food.
You know, and it's just like, just finding something that's all like, oh, I love this, you know, just anything that's really interesting, or hobbies, you know, or
new hobbies that you get into.
Exactly. Like, oh, I went on a hike, and guess what I saw the other day?
Yeah.
So, talking about your experience, like really like crazy experience, whatever that was, instead of like what you just talked about, like, politics is not going to get us anywhere. Yeah. None of that stuff is going to, you know, and like argumentative conversation, just trying to avoid those things. Yeah, that's I like that. Yeah, that's really good.
And you know, and I'm gonna kind of bring that into, and the reason like I kind of learned that experience was because you know, through the Bible. You know, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about that, and the reason why I bring it up is because, you know, I love the story of Jesus when he was in the wedding. You know, the weddings, and you know, it says that he was just there at the wedding. and he was just there at a celebration, you know, and there was nothing that, you know, he didn't, you know, the Bible doesn't talk about, you know, him, you know, getting involved in conversations or anything like that. Like, he was just present at that moment. And I know that there's a lot more context to that story, but the reason I bring that up is because, you know, I believe that that's why I personally, like, unless it's brought up in a way where we can build someone up, I definitely leave religion out of the conversation. You know, because again, like, if it's something that people aren't ready to listen to or hear, you know, then there's really nothing to bring up. There's no point to bring it up. You know, I think the best thing that we can do is to really be present with them, serve them, 100%. Love them. You know what I mean? Like, get to know them, because there's going to be people at our table that I feel maybe we haven't seen them in years. You know, and maybe they've, in those years, maybe they've gone through some tough times.
And going on top of that, like, I think sometimes too is that, like, for me personally, I'm still grieving. You know, this is going to be like another year without my dad. And so our family has really shifted a lot, you know, and I think, how many more people are grieving? How many more people are grieving? They got recently divorced. They recently lost their spouse or their children. Or we don't really often think that around this time.
We don't think about that.
About hospitals, people who are loved ones in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff like that. And, like, I think that's a good a parameter to teach us, like, how we talk and be mindful of the reality of life approaching holiday.
Being sensitive.
100%.
Being sensitive, you know, I think that, and I think when we begin to change our perspective that the holidays aren't just about us, but it is about others, then it also, I believe it'll begin to change our perspective of, you know, what it is that we bring to the table. And I think that will begin to de-stress us, because then the holidays don't just become about the perfect gift. It really does become about me being the perfect, you know, person, you know, bringing my presence, you know, and learning to be in the present. You know,
it kind of brings us to a place of empathy and proximity. And so, like, if we have proximity, that brings us closer, and I can be able to empathize with you. But if I disassociate myself from you during these holidays, I become more separate. And so if separation brings division, or it brings the disassociation. So when I see people, you have your own life, I already have, like, I'm so separated from those around me. Your realities is not my problem or my responsibility. But if I continue to feed and cultivate my proximity to get closer to you and to build empathy, I will make this my responsibility to help you. And I think that right there creates a better society.
Big time. And better families.
Oh, big time. And it brings us closer where we can help and empower one another. We really need to build, we are honestly, humanity is in control of the way we build our society. And how we define that with our decisions, and how we are able to speak into each other's life and say, hey, you know what, you lost your job. You know what, knowing you're gonna get another job. You're so good at that.
Or like, hey, you know what, hey, don't trip. You know, I have some contacts. You know, before we leave, I'm gonna shoot you some texts. Let's exchange numbers. You know, let's keep in touch. You know, maybe you're a business owner and you say, man, hey, you know what, I got you for a few days. Come help me out. You know, you know, and that's one thing that I loved about my dad's side of the family. You know, growing up, that we were a lot closer to my dad's side of the family, and you know, they were very close in that. Super close. I really love the dynamics that they had as a family. You know, every time we would get together during the holidays, man, it was always about, they would always just make the best food. Muñuelos, they would make the pozole, tamales. I mean, they had the whole shebang. It was a blast. And I used to love it because my uncles, my aunts, everyone, they would get together, and it was never a conversation about, hey, so what are you doing now? Like, oh, where are you working at? Or, hey, how much you make now? Or, hey, what'd you do now? Or, you know, or politics, or religion, like they would just have fun.
Yeah.
And I remember like they would always, it was a big custom to always make the fire. We would make the fire pit, and we would have these big fire pits, whether it be out there in El Rancho, or sometimes when we wouldn't go to Mexico, we would stay out here, and you would just see family gathered around the fire, man, just laughing and having a good time. That's man, awesome. And just celebrating each other and loving on each other, but I also got to see the other side, which was from, a lot from my mom's side of the family. I got to see that where their dynamic was all about, well, how much money do you make?
Oh, wow.
Well, I have more than you. Oh, well, if you're having success, like, well, it's because you're probably doing something. Like, there was a lot of, like, jealousy, a lot of hating, a lot of criticism. And as a child, and see, that's what I want to talk about right now, because as a child, you remember that.
Yeah, 100%.
You see that. And that's the thing, that we don't realize what we're breeding into our children.
Yeah, for sure. That's so good, because when you were talking about that, there were just actually, I had like really good, like 2 good Christmases, and they were really recent, but they were not with my family.
Okay.
All right. So they were in the same location. I was, in a few years back, we led a team to Nicaragua.
Okay.
And so we stayed in Nicaragua for like 2 months, and we went to another country from there, and we took our kids. My wife and I took our 3 kids, and then we had a team.
Okay.
Well, I never spent Christmas outside my family. I've always, been with my family or my wife's family in Canada. And by the way, Canada Christmas, the Canadian Christmas is a vibe with that snow. It is so beautiful. But when we were in Nicaragua, it was just a completely different tradition. And so we didn't really have any gifts to give to our children, because we can't put all these gifts in our bags and travel.
Right.
So it wasn't really about gifts. And it was really about being together, appreciating. It was really, really, really simple and minimalistic. And we just had such a incredible day of no stress. Don't have to worry about so-and-so and all the food and all this and all that. Like we didn't have to worry about any of that.
It has to be perfect.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's this idea of perfect events with perfect people, with perfect lives.
Yeah.
This is like an illusion.
Yeah.
And that's the system of materialism.
No one is perfect. No one's life is ever going to be perfect. And we need to understand that, because as a society, as a culture, as a people, we need to learn to just enjoy the simple things, because man, our young men, our young women, and not just our young men and young women, but humanity in general, depression, suicide, anxiety, it's on the rise.
It's all there.
And it's more during these times.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's more heavy drinking, there's more heavy drug use right now. And so there's fights, there's family fights, there's friendship fights. And so there's a lot of the emotions are just that they spike up.
They spike up.
And so when you're emotional, you're not even incoherent. Like you can't really make decisions. And so like it becomes destructive and like kind of like sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah. And you become self-sabotage.
Yeah.
You become a person that is, and what's crazy is that was me for a long time. I never knew what it was to like, I knew what it was to like have good moments, but for a long time in my adult life, I didn't know what it was to experience a good moment. I think a lot of bad things that I had caused in my life and things that had happened, had taken me down a real dark tunnel. And for many holidays, I like I mentioned earlier, I didn't really want to be around anyone. And I would find ways to self-sabotage.
Really?
We would have moments where we're about to get ready, or, during that day, we knew we were going to go see family that day. And I would find ways that morning to just be negative, and to try to self-sabotage, and to try to get out of going, and I would create fights.
Well, what was the turning point? How did you get to the did that flip? Obviously that flip, right?
Yeah.
So how did you what changed?
Well, a lot of what we're talking about, I think finding ways and finding those things that, well, first of all, identifying why. You know, I think I had to really be honest with myself and really find the reason why. And a lot of the reason why was because, you know, I didn't really want anyone to know what I was going through. You know, I didn't want anyone to know that I was feeling depressed. You know, I didn't want anyone to know that I was worried about money. You know, I didn't want the obligation of buying a gift. You know, I've really felt like, man, if I go to these events, to these gatherings, now I'm obligated to buy a gift. You know, and I'm not financially there. You know, and so I would look for anything instead of honesty.
It's so crazy because I think you're not alone on that. I think a lot of us become very insecure around this year. We become financially insecure that we can't arrive and we can't show our best achievements at the end of the year. Yeah. And so I think maybe that makes sense for New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like New Year's resolution, I don't want to feel that again. So I'm going to make new decisions. Yeah. And I think that could be a bad start of New Year's resolution because it's coming from insecurities. Yeah. And it's coming from financial insecurities. Yeah. It's coming from you're insecure of who you are. Yeah. And it's like, I felt like that where I couldn't afford to get mom and dad an out of this world gift. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, that's just me as a son. I wish I can give the world to my loved ones. Yeah. But you can't. And I think that's the bottom line is you can't do that. But I could be the most pleasant person.
Exactly.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've learned to do that, you know?
And I think it's knowing that and understanding that. And I think that that's what we really want to encourage our audience for this holiday season is look, like, you know, learn to be honest, learn to be transparent, you know, and learn to be okay that, look, if financially it's not the best time of our life, don't let that be the reason that you don't show up. Exactly. Because I think that was one of the things that led me down a dark hole a lot of times during the holiday season was because I would create all these different scenarios inside my own head. And then what I would do was that I would believe them, you know, instead of actually saying, man, you know what? I can't do it, but you know what? I'm still going to go show up because listen to us. The last thing we want is that to make you feel that you have to be alone during the season.
That's right. And that's what we don't want.
We don't want because that's, you know, isolation is where we are our worst enemies.
Exactly. And like it does no good isolating yourself. Yeah. And also I would like to address that holidays, you don't need money for holidays.
Exactly.
Because I've learned that, like, I think, like, our family right now, as we're grieving, like, I said this last time, like, you can have millions of dollars. Yeah. And if you lose somebody in your family to death, you can't bring it back. Yeah. So right now, I would do anything to laugh with my dad. I would do anything to just joke around. You know what I mean? Hey, let's go eat this. Oh my God, let's go at the table and eat and just enjoy each other. Yeah. That is holidays. And I know, like, this whole, like, I don't, like, I mean, as a pastor, I'm all about making it on Christ, you know, and I'm all for that. You know, that's my heart. It's all about the Lord. It's about who God is. Right. But I truly believe the Father's heart of our Heavenly Father. Yeah. It brings great pleasure to see people living as family, enjoying this, and being a great brother, a good sister, a good friend, and also, like earlier we were mentioning, like, again, you don't need money to have a good holiday. You don't have to be. The holiday is not for the rich. Yeah, it's not for the rich. It's not. It's not. Really, really, holiday is for those who love well. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's a message that we all need to hear, including those that are because there's people that show up and then there's people that are the ones who start the traditions. Yes. And I think those that are big on traditions really have to take a step back. Every time the holidays come, like, I think we all have to take a step back and say, hey, this year, how are things going this year? You know, is this something doable? Because I think that's a big thing sometimes, is that sometimes we feel because it's a tradition, that's what we have to do.
We're saying, we can say, hey, how about this?
Yeah.
Everybody is going to receive a letter from somebody. You're going to receive a letter, and they're going to tell you what they love about you. And it's a handwritten letter.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
You know I would love to get a letter that from my uncle saying, you know what, I'm so proud of you, and this, because we need that from our family.
Yeah. And the thing is that, that's a great idea, because here's the thing, man. And I know that some people are probably listening to that, and they're probably saying like, come on, but how do that's cheesy. Like, like, how are we going to get that away with the kids? But here's the thing, man, is we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, look, man, I've done it, and I've seen so many people get into financial ruin because of the holidays. They get into unnecessary debt. That debt creates stress. That stress creates problems. Those problems can create divorce. They can create resentment. It can create grudges. It can create a pattern of stress, of anxiety every year going into holidays. But that's why this episode is so awesome, because we really are having a conversation about real things that happen. People that are actually out there grieving family members, like I know even for me, for example, someone that was huge in our Christmas traditions and everything was my grandma, and she's no longer with us either. She passed away. It was actually the same year that your dad passed away. It was like 3 weeks after.
Wow.
My grandma left us, and she was a huge part of our life.
Right.
So we always talk amongst our cousins that, man, Christmas in Mexico is just really going to be different, because a huge part of, and it wasn't because of the gift. It wasn't because of the finances that she would put into it. It wasn't because of the amount of money she had. It wasn't because of the big traditions. It was because she was present. It was because of how much she loved us. It was because of how much she took care of us, and I want to encourage people that, listen, gifts, I'm not going to sit here and say that gifts aren't great. They're great. We love them. I love unwrapping stuff.
If you want to give me a gift, hey, I will not say no.
We'll put our Zelle, Cash App, Venmo down below.
I'll put my wish list on there.
But we have to understand that depression is on the rise. Anxiety is on the rise. Suicide is on the rise. Loneliness is on the rise. Yeah. People are losing loved ones left to right. There are families that are no longer families this year.
I know.
And it is up to us to embrace the moments that we're able to have as a family, as a people. Because if we don't, and if we don't teach our kids that, we are going to lose the true meaning of what these holidays truly should be about.
I'll share my final thoughts. That cool?
Yeah.
Just kind of like an idea, what I got from this. Just what you were talking about, your grandma. It made me think about my grandpa, my uncles, my dad, the people that we lost in our family. There's an opportunity there. And like what you said, it wasn't because of their gifts but it was just simply being present. But they modeled that. And because they modeled that, you got to witness that. And now that you witnessed it, you now know what it looks like. Because you know what it looks like, you now can do it.
Yeah.
And now it's time for you to be grandma. Now it's time for me to be dad. Now it's time for me to take on that model and demonstrate it, but even make it better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like make it maturing that legacy model to our family, to our friends, and also to those who don't have family.
Yeah.
That I want to be able to bring in, you could be part of my family.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of money, but we have a lot of love.
Yeah.
And those are my things. I'm excited I'm excited for this. I'm excited and I'm a little nervous because it is hard to approach this. It is different in my life, but I'm more excited to move forward and see what God is doing in my life and what my family's doing. I'm ready.
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing, if I could, man.
This is your thoughts, man. Your finals.
Because it just came to me as you were talking about that. We are a blended family. My family, you know, my wife, my kids, we, you know, I talked about it in my story. I have a daughter from my first marriage.
Okay.
And I want to encourage moms and dads out there that are in the same situation, because I feel like there's a lot of families out there that have a blended family. And one thing I want to really encourage you guys is, a lot of times we can feel down because maybe we're not going to have our child with us on the exact days. But one thing that I have been doing, that we've been doing with my wife for the past few years is we try to find out ahead of time when we're gonna have my daughter. And what we do is we've made our own traditions.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know, and I want to encourage that. The reason why I share that is because I know there's some dads out there, or some even moms out there, that, you know, maybe this holiday isn't going to be your holiday. But just because it's not going to be your holiday with your child, it doesn't mean that you can't make it special.
That's right.
You know, it can be 2 weeks ahead. It can be 3 weeks ahead. It can even be a month ahead. You know what I mean? Like, the important thing is that they remember that you made time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that a lot of people, they get bummed out because of that. You know, they even get depressed because of that, because they feel that, you know, because of the divorce, holidays aren't going to be the same. Because of a separation, their traditions now are broken. But I want to encourage people out there, man, that if you've gone through that, I understand what you're going through. I feel what you're going through. I know all too well how it feels. And but just know that what really matters is the effort that you put.
Yeah.
That's what's going to matter. That's what our children are going to remember. And I also want to encourage, if you're a mom and dad that are in that situation, I want to encourage, man, that, you know what, this season is also a good season for forgiveness. You know, it's a good opportunity for us to let go of grudges. It's a good opportunity for us to let go of hurt. And it's a great opportunity for us to forgive the past.
That's right. That's
you know,
good.
We might not be able to forget everything, but you know what? If we can learn from it,
we can move on.
We can move on.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing worse than, and I'm, you know, I'm really passionate about it, again, because I know what it feels like, but also because I just want to encourage some mom and dads out there that, you know what, it's time to heal. You know, it's not the kids' fault.
Yeah.
You know, it's not their fault. And I think that the more peaceful we can be in loving our kids and doing what we can, the better. So I just wanted to encourage.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, that's good. I love what you said about tradition, and it doesn't have to be on the day of Christmas or Christmas Eve or whatever.
Yeah.
And I learned this from my wife, and she says something. She got all of us together in in our coffee room, and she was just like, "Okay, everybody sit down," and she goes, "I want to be a family that creates traditions. Anybody that's talking about tradition loves their family and wants to make in-depth memories."
Yeah.
And so this year, I'm really excited. We're gonna, on Christmas, we're gonna go to my living room, and we're gonna build. All of us are gonna build a fort, and we're just gonna binge, probably on Harry Potter. I don't know, but I mean, we're just gonna binge.
That's cool,
and
man.
we're just gonna eat some food, and we're just gonna have a hot chocolate, and we're gonna, like, you know, create this lighting experience, and to watch a show and just enjoy all of each other's company. And that's going to be our tradition.
I like that.
You know, and so I think,
thank God for wives, bro.
I know, right?
Thank
God. You know,
like
I think she taught me that in order for tradition to happen, you have to take initiative.
Yeah.
And you have to say, all right, I'm going to step out, and then I'm going to communicate. This could be a tradition. What do you guys all say? All right, emoji deal. You know what I mean? And that's it. So I'm excited. Let's roll.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, man. And so we just want to thank everyone, every single one of our listeners, man. Thank you guys so much for the continuous support, for you guys, for the views, the likes, the shares. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, TuneIn, Samsung Podcast, pretty much anywhere where you can listen to a podcast, man. We're available. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And we release clips every day. And don't forget to share this with someone, man. This holiday season, we just want to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Man, we love you guys. We hope that this year, after after listening to this, you can go into the holidays with a different perspective and understand, man, that it's not about how much you spend on that gift. You know, it's about how much you spend on being present. Don't forget that. We love you guys. Offbeat Podcast. Let's go.
Right on.